Well, hello. It's another Pittsburgh Hockey Now, National Hockey Now YouTube live chat. Hey, I'm Dan Kingerski. Thank you for joining us. We're an hour late today, and I do apologize. It's been that kind of day with us. Weird error messages. I even slept in today past 8 a.m., which never should happen. You can tell, Dan's Daily was on at 11:30. So, hey, here I am. Hi. Let me add a couple little fades here. Where is it? There we go. So if I go to anything else, in fact, I should also want to raise my chair a little bit. I just realized I'm like sitting in a hole. Or maybe I'm going to continue to sit in the hole. Maybe there. That's a little bit better. So how are you, kids? Do me a favor, you know how this works. On the right side, on the right side, stage right, you comment, you chat, and your participation is kind of what makes this live chat go. Otherwise, I'm just blathering for somewhere between 30 and 60 minutes. So let's talk a little bit about the Penguins last night. They really didn't have to play. Let me adjust this too. Didn't really have to play a great game against the Montreal Canadiens. The Canadiens put up a little bit of a fight, at least as much as the Canadiens wanted to put up a fight. And what I mean by that is the Canadiens wanted to skate and score, and the Canadiens just wanted to play some hockey and get out of town. And all the Penguins really had to do was kind of mind their P's and Q's, hit their marks, and just kind of nullify Montreal on a few chances, which Tristan Jarry did. Montreal had a few chances in the first period, and when you see bad teams especially, when they don't get a couple of those scoring chances early, the game is over. And that was kind of what I thought happened to Montreal. They didn't really push. They didn't really come after the Penguins, even at 3-2. They get a goal there, and you're like, oh, but they didn't really attack. And so the Penguins, I don't want to say had an easy game of it, because had a couple of those chances gone for Montreal, it would have been a different game. But ultimately, the Penguins, brought their B game, and it worked. Everyone except Evan Rodrigues, right? And Sidney Crosby, right? Holy moly. I think we're seeing, and I wrote this morning, for those of you who are on PHN Plus. By the way, join PHN Plus. It's $25 a year, get you an ad-free experience, all of the exclusive content. And when the general managers start talking about anything other than the Olympics, we'll get our off-the-record column fired up again as well. But right now, the GMs really are preoccupied with kind of saving their ships rather than trade talks and all of the other things that we like to bring you in the OTR. Hey, Rory, already commenting. Dan, all is well if you tell me Jake and Malkin are good to go. Well, today is a day off, so no updates on the Penguins today. But look, until they join the team, just cool your jets, right? Malkin, I would say, is looking about 85, 90%. He's getting after it a little bit. They're letting him join the power play 2. But because he's not on power play 1, don't get your hopes up just yet. Okay, good. I was a little worried. My screen wasn't showing me talking. There I am. I just had to refresh it a little bit. Look, Malkin is probably a few weeks away yet. He will first have to get his contact jersey. And this will not be just a couple day, contact in the lineup. No, they're going to put Malkin through his paces. They're going to really run him in practice, battle drills and contact for a good couple or a few weeks. You don't just, skate around a little while and then hop back into the lineup after the kind of knee surgery that Malkin has had. You don't miss 6 months and then, okay, all is good. By the way, how is the sound? Is everything sound? I know we had a little bit of an up and down issue. I changed the batteries in the apparatus, and I think that was the issue. So if the sound is kind of cutting in and out just a little bit, let me know. I'll be happy to tinker with it here as we roll. Jake Guentzel, look, we don't know if it was a bruised hand, broken hand, sprained whatever it was. In fact, it might not even be any of those. It could have been something entirely unrelated, and we're just speculating, which is, for all intents and purposes, what we are doing. The Guentzel is just kind of skating with the skills coach, so he's probably at least a week away. I'm guessing, right? Because these are hockey injuries. Let's talk a bit about, I think, for my money, the most important, or maybe not most important, the most fun Penguins story we've covered in a couple or a few years. Not since Brian Rust busted out with his 27-goal season. Really, have we seen a Cinderella out of nowhere about to win his first Masters championship? Evan Rodrigues is not on a hot streak. Evan Rodrigues isn't just a kind of a flash. At 28 years old, this is something entirely different that we are watching with Rodrigues. This is a player maybe had some skills. He's continued to work on those skills. I mean, look, the Penguins passed a couple of times. The Buffalo Sabres dumped him in the press box. So this is not like he's been this good all along. But I still did some digging last night. I asked Rodrigues straight up. I'm like, okay, man, like one or two things to hang your hat on. What are you doing better this year? And really, he's like, no, I keep saying it, confidence and opportunity. Well, he's had opportunities before. I would consider skating beside Jack Eichel an opportunity. But now he's got some confidence to go with it. And this is maybe part and parcel to the entire Penguins team and organization here as we kind of talk, big picture and dovetail it back to Evan Rodrigues, in so much as we've seen this with other players, Brian Rust notably, and bringing a kid like John Marino and pumping him up. Mike Sullivan really has that knack for coaching. I mean, look, some guys hate him. But some guys hate every head coach. What Mike Sullivan is able to instill or get out of most of his players is quite impressive. And he's instilled, or I'm sure he's had some hand in helping Evan Rodrigues find that confidence. Look at Evan Rodrigues' game. In fact, let me... where's Erod? Oh, I have to add Erod. There's one of him. There, so you're not staring at me. There's Erod scoring, I think, his power play goal. Watch Rodrigues play. Just ISO on him for a shift or two shifts, and maybe that's something that I should do for you or help you along on that, because the number of little things that he's doing to create this offensive explosion that the Penguins' top line has enjoyed. The little plays on the wall, the ability to skate the puck to a more advantageous spot and stop there, or accelerate to a new spot. Find Sidney Crosby, find Kasperi Kapanen or Jake Guentzel, find the open man, and then keep moving. All of those things create offense. And, some guys can do that, but don't necessarily have the hands to do it or all the physical skills. Rodrigues is showing the physical skills as well. He genuinely, and I know I downplayed this a couple of weeks ago, and I think I was right to downplay it a couple of weeks ago, but now I'm kind of starting to believe this is legit. This guy is a legit top 6 winger in the NHL who can score more than 50 points. Because here's why I say that. What he's doing is not dependent on Sidney Crosby. We've seen those line mates come and go, where guys kind of meld in to the Sidney Crosby line and the Sidney Crosby show, and that they play well, they score 20, 30 goals, and and they do their job, and you say, wow, they're pretty good. But when you take them away from that environment, maybe they're not so good. Whereas Evan Rodrigues, I think if you put him beside any ham and egg center right now, you're going to see a lot of the same chances. You're going to see some of the same offensive production because it's what he's doing that is creating these numbers. So, hey, I like an underdog as much as the next person, maybe more so. Call it a personal thing. And Rodrigues is kind of that underdog. And, he's... I don't think there was some questions last night. Oh, is your one-timer better? I don't see it as any better or worse than it's been. It is the opportunity to get to use it, the confidence to let rip for that corner rather than playing it safe. It's all of those sorts of things. The confidence to step into it just a little bit more and know you've got a good chance to score. All of those things matter. That's my Evan Rodrigues take. We will, I think, in a few minutes talk about Ron Hextall and what Evan Rodrigues means to the Penguins and Ron Hextall and what decisions he will allow Hextall to make, or maybe what decisions he'll force Hextall to make. The next person we should really have a chat about. Let me. Where is he? Oh, by the way, here is the little photo I took by mistake. Look closely. I was taking a picture of the Penguins' third jerseys, and that I just kind of happened to catch that in the background. Nope. I still can't find... I had a couple of photos I wanted to use. Where did they go? And I can't switch out, so I might be SOL. Let me see. Nope, it does not. Okay, you'll have to just stare at me again for a while. Or stare at nothing, either way. Kasperi Kapanen. Let's chat about him because he has 2 goals in 3 games. And I know some people want to make a big deal of Kapanen's production now. 2 goals in 3 games, Sidney Crosby. He's fixed. He's back. No. And here's one thing where I'm going to clash with a lot of fans, I think, because I know you all want Kasperi Kapanen to be at full stride and full steam. But Mike Sullivan gave a little bit of an honest answer after the game last night. And props to Mark Madden for asking the question. In phrasing it in such a way that he elicited a response from Sullivan. Look, Kapanen has all the skills in the world. I mean, he's got a power stride. He's got hands, and he's got vision, and he's got a shot, and he's got some bulk so he can play physically. All of those things exist. Unlocking the toolbox has been Kapanen's issue. And Sullivan seemed to kind of steer into that. Last night, against Montreal on Tuesday night, Kapanen went to the net, actually created a couple of very nice screens. One of those screens led to a goal, maybe 2 of them. I wasn't sure if Heinen went to the net on the 1 goal or if it was Kapanen. I could have checked, but it wasn't overly important to know. Those are good things. Kapanen going to the net and mixing it up below the dots, maybe even below the goal line and playing down there. That's vitally important to his game. Some of the things he's not doing, though, he's still not overly aggressive on some of his puck pursuit where he could be. Mike Sullivan said he could improve on stopping on pucks. And it's those little sorts of things, the good habits of the game that Kapanen is missing. And I had the thought kind of popped into my head as Sullivan kind of rattled off a couple or a few things he wanted to see Kapanen do. But the thought was, Kapanen's 25. Why is a player who's been in the NHL 4 years now being told, being pushed, cajoled, begged, kicked to create fundamental habits. That's kind of that's what struck me, and I took it away as a negative. It's like, what are the Penguins going to do long term with Kapanen? Because by 25, 26, you're a fully formed player in almost all cases, Evan Rodrigues excluded. Your skill set is your skill set, and your game and your mindset. You get 5 or 6 full-time years in the NHL. You're kind of where you are. There are very few Sidney Crosbys as well, who just ridiculously and tirelessly work. Most guys work on what they're good at, and that's, they'll work on some of the things they're bad at, but you don't see the doubling or that kind of progression. I would sound a little bit of an alarm, a little bit of concern over Kapanen's game. He had the goal last night, going to the net as well. That's that's good, but yeah, he has to get all those fundamentals down, and until he does, he's going to be a little bit of an iffy or a spotty player, prone to mistakes. Here's a prime mistake. Last night, I wish I could show you the highlight of it. Very first shift, Crosby steals the puck below the goal line. He turns to center it, and Kapanen, coming down the slot, doesn't adjust to Crosby and get his stick in the lane. He kind of goes to the far post and didn't make himself available for the pass. If he did, if he shifted, I guess I'm going to go stage left again on you here. If he shifts this way, and he creates a line with Crosby, and it's probably a goal 20 seconds into the game. But because he went this way, Crosby didn't have the angle. There was nothing Crosby could do to get the pass there. So those are those little things, those just little hockey IQ intangible things that Kapanen also has to I think be more cognizant of. Get your stick in a spot where the other guy can hit it. It's all of those sorts of things. Otherwise, I think you're going to see Kapanen on the third line when Malkin and Gensel come back. Who's going to argue, right? I mean, you're not going to remove Evan Rodrigues off that top line, and you're not going to move Evgeny Malkin down to the third line, so it's going to be Kasperi Kapanen. The question is, do you want Kapanen and Jeff Carter and Jason Zucker back together as a third line? Because quite frankly, over the last, I would say 6 weeks, they were not very good. In the words of Dr. Cox, not very good. All right, don't forget to keep those chats coming. I appreciate you, Rory. Let's dive into a little bit here of Ron Hextall and what all of this means. In fact, I'm going to share this story here real quick. Bear with me. I'm going to pop this on Twitter right quick. Here we go. Live now. What if I put live nudes? If anybody would even notice on Twitter, I'd get a lot of followers. Get very disappointed, wouldn't they? Okay. Let's talk a bit about Ron. Quick side note. I wanted just to mention this. Congratulations to Bill Guerin, who is now the Team USA GM in the wake of the Stan Bowman schedule. Guerin was the assistant GM and would have automatically stepped into the GM role, but the Sports Investigative Authority for the IOC had to clear Guerin and his actions in the Jared Scalde and Aaron Scalde lawsuits against the Penguins, which were settled last month or in October, because the Scaldes made some accusations against Guerin. And the IOC, or I shouldn't say the IOC, the U.S. Olympic Committee investigated. And yesterday they made Guerin the GM of Team USA, which I presume means that they came to the conclusion that Guerin acted appropriately. And I'm glad to hear it. From everything I heard and all of the public facts, even what was in the Scalde lawsuits, I was a little incredulous that they included Guerin in that, because from when Guerin was notified to former Wilkes-Barre Penguins coach Clark Donatelli being removed was literally a matter of days. It was a pretty swift thing. I never really saw what Guerin had done wrong, other than he may have, there's some interpretation. The Scaldes said Guerin told them to keep it quiet. You can determine if that's right or wrong. Keep something out of the newspapers that's embarrassing for a lot of people. There certainly wasn't any retribution for the Scaldes. So I'm glad to see Guerin, or presumably glad to see Guerin cleared and get to helm Team USA. He's a good dude. Anyway, Ron Hextall. What happens now with the Penguins and Ron Hextall? What does Hextall get to do now that Evan Rodrigues has proven himself to be a new piece? Evan Rodrigues kind of drops into the Penguins' lap as a new top six forward. You couldn't trade for a guy this good without giving away the farm, and they have Evan Rodrigues on the cheap for free. What does Hextall get to do? Now, done some digging, and even as of recently, the Penguins and Brian Rust have really not had any substantive contract discussions. The two sides spoke over the summer, did not find common ground. I think that's an important term. That's what one of the sources told us, didn't find common ground. And so they tabled it to a later date. I have downplayed this idea. In fact, I've downright poo-pooed this idea before of trading Brian Rust. I think Brian Rust is a crucial, almost an essential cog in the Penguins lineup, and I think they would be poorer without him. Having said that, if you're going to lose him for nothing, you have to then weigh the Brian Rust calculus. And this is what Hextall, the days of saying, well, you have to get something for him, you can't let him leave for nothing, those days are over, because we've realized now there's a whole second layer to that decision, and that is, what is Brian Rust worth as a rental player? What would he cost you to go out and acquire? Let's say Brian Rust played for the San Jose Sharks, and you call up Doug Wilson, or forgive me, I don't recall the interim GM's name off the top of my head. But you call up San Jose Sharks and say, we want Brian Rust for the rest of the season. What's Rust going to cost you? I mean, if Patrick Marleau was a third-round pick, potentially a second, conditional for a second, if the Penguins won the Cup, what's Brian Rust worth? 27, 22 goal Brian Rust. Worth more than a third-round pick, that's for sure. And then you begin to say, okay, well, if a player is that valuable, I've just traded for him without actually having to give up the asset. It's an in-house rental. So I don't necessarily think the Penguins should trade Brian Rust unless, and here comes the caveat, unless another team is willing to replenish what the Penguins might, probably, could lose by not re-signing Brian Rust. And that's where I don't know who even to say. Vladimir Tarasenko is a little bit too expensive because Brian Rust is only at $3.5 million. Let's just say St. Louis ate half of Tarasenko's salary because he's still once out of the Arch City. Then you start, okay, then maybe it makes a little bit of sense, but you need something in return to replace Brian Rust. The axiom, can't let him go for nothing, pish-posh. Now you need to, find an asset that would be better than what you can get in free agency or another sort of trade. That's the Brian Rust situation. I do think Hextall can improve in goal. I think he can improve the backup goalie situation. From what I've seen with Casey DeSmith so far, I thought he was pretty good against Anaheim. He was solid. I don't necessarily think that Anaheim really pushed him. I don't think Anaheim really taxed him like some of the teams have taxed Tristan Jarry. Do I have a picture of any of the goalies? I have an old picture of Tristan Jarry. You know, not with the black. I think the black pads are pretty cool on Jarry, are they not? Pretty spectacular. And this was 1 year ago. Anywho, let's get back to this guy. Because Jarry has been spectacular. And I do cringe a little bit. Look, Jarry's a little bit different. There's a little bit of a chip on Jarry's shoulder. There's a little bit of an edge. He even broke character a little bit. What's today? Today is Wednesday? Yeah, so it would have been on Monday at practice. A couple of us thought that Evgeny Malkin might have scored a backhand Michigan goal, kind of lacrosse into the net. So I asked him, I'm like, was that Malkin? Did Malkin do a reverse Michigan? He's like, no. Okay, did he just score a backhand goal on you? No. Okay. There's a little bit, Jarry has a little bit of a bigger chest right now, a little bit of, broader shoulders. His shoulders are back a little bit this year. And he kind of gave us a little bit of, in good-natured fun, some grief on his way out of the media room at the UPMC complex. You guys need to watch closer. I guess Danton Heinen caught Malkin's rebound and threw it in. Now, whether Malkin tried the reverse Michigan, I'm not exactly sure. Because, you're not watching the guys screw around towards the end of practice too closely to like, wait, did I just see what I think I saw? But that was the thing. And Jarry's a little bit different this year. He's flashing a little bit of that personality, even with the media, whom he's kept 2 arms lengths away over the last 3 seasons. Having said all of that, there is the playoff question. And while DeSmith would be, look, let's just say worst case scenario, Jarry is injured or struggles early in the playoffs. Casey DeSmith would come in, but how good is Casey DeSmith? I mean, he's an affordable $1 million sort of backup. I do default to Anton Khudobin in Dallas. He was so good in the 2020 playoffs, and that's the kind of confidence the Penguins would need in their backup goalie. The Penguins didn't claim him on waivers, and I think it would have been possible for the Penguins to do it, and really, here's how it works. DeSmith goes to the minors. There's $1.05 million saved on the salary cap. You send Sam Lafferty down to the AHL. There's $750,000. Or you send Drew O'Connor, and there's $900,000 that heads down to the American Hockey League. Although I don't think they're going to. Well, actually, I guess when Gensel and or Rust or Malkin comes back, they will probably send Drew O'Connor down so that he keeps playing games. So right there, you're over $1.9 million. Khudobin costs $3.3. So you're essentially 1.5. We'll use round numbers. $1.5 million to the negative. Now, when Evgeny Malkin comes back and Jake Gensel comes back, I do believe, the way I'm reading Puckpedia and Cap Friendly, is that the Penguins would be over the salary cap if everybody is healthy. So somebody's on their way out anyway. Maybe this accelerates that sort of decision-making. Maybe this Look, do you go with the top line of Rodrigues, Crosby, and Kapanen? And then a second line of Gensel, Malkin, and Rust? And a third line of, I don't know, Carter in the middle, Carter and McGinn and Aston Reese, or Simone and McGinn. I don't know. You start to play a little bit. Maybe Zucker is, his days are numbered. 10 points in 28 games isn't good enough, and he really has to, I think there's a couple things he has to do more of in his game. He's got to get his stick on the puck in the dirty areas. I mean, you can skate up and down all you want. You can hit a few guys. You can take those shots on the rush. But for whatever reason, there's just a disconnect when Jeff Carter and Jason Zucker are together on the ice, and they get the rush attempts, but they're not getting those gritty down low attempts, and they're not creating sustained offensive pressure, and really it's hurting both of their statistics, although I know Carter had 2 goals against Seattle. Something has to improve there, and I think, hey, maybe Dallas wants to do a Zucker for Khudobin and a draft pick sort of thing. Would you do that? This is just off the top of my head. That's not from any sources or anything we've heard. Would you begin to do that? Okay, sorry, all the chats are rolling in. I get it. Is that Union Town? Utan Cornelius. Cappy and Malkin had chemistry. I like to see where that relationship goes when Malkin is back. Yeah. Malkin, what is it with Evgeny Malkin? He seems to have chemistry with the bad boys, with the guys that drive coaches nuts. They instantly become Evgeny Malkin's best friend. I imagine Malkin in elementary school would have been friends with the kid in the back of the class making disruptions. I think Malkin is just from James Neal to Phil Kessel to Kasperi Kapanen. What is it with Malkin and those relationships? But you're absolutely right. Yeah, let's see where Kapanen. Okay, so let's put Rust back with Crosby and Evan Rodrigues on the left. Gensel, Malkin, and Kapanen. How's that for a top 6? That's pretty darn potent. And then you got Carter with whomever. And then, of course, you've got your energy line with Aston Reese, Bluger, and McGinn. Okay, anyway. Rust for Kane? No. No. You move out salary for Evander Kane. If at all you... should we sidetrack and talk about Evander Kane? This is a kind of a free-flowing discussion. It's a live chat. So let's dive into it. Who did ask that? Rory asked that. All right. You know, there's one bit of information that kind of makes me open the door a little bit for Evander Kane. A judge granted Evander Kane sole custody of his daughter. First of all, that Kane wanted the custody. Good man. Good father. 2, that a woman could walk into a court in California and not win a custody hearing. I extrapolate some heavy negatives to that. I extrapolate her releasing a video which was later proven to be way out of, that gun video. If you saw Evander Kane with the gun, that was actually later shown to be part of a photo shoot, and she kind of released a snippet of it to make him look bad. And you know what? When you get yourself out of a toxic environment, there is room for growth and change, and you can breathe, and the world seems to slow down, and you make better decisions. We're not going to ask how I know this. The world changes, and maybe Evander Kane can change as well. Maybe he finds himself in the right crowd, and maybe he shows enough to the San Jose Sharks and the Barracuda, and a team that has good leadership. You know, like a captain who is renowned for making everybody feel welcome and scoring golden goals in Vancouver, and a veteran-heavy team in which Evander Kane could come in and be a follower. Maybe a situation like that would just happen to work. Whereas I would have closed the door 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I think I've opened it just a hair, but not for Brian Rust. No. Okay. Let's see here. Matt says rust for Richie, or how do you pronounce? Is it Kash? Cachet? Forgive me. You read his name enough, and I think the Penguins could do better. Richie is not scoring at all. He's gone bone dry. Is Simone going to break out and hit the net soon? Good gosh, guys. The Penguins' fourth line is tilting the ice. They're getting offensive chances. That's all you want from them. He's making almost league minimum money, and you're going to harp on that? Just chill and let Dominic Simone be Dominic Simone. He's going to look like a 20-goal scorer except for the number of red lights that he gets to, flash. Be grateful for that rather than some of the stiffs the Penguins rolled through on the fourth line for years. Don't make me bring up those names and ruin the rest of your day. Don't make me do it. You know I will. I'll turn this car right around. Let's see here. I would trade Rust for a similar player or a physical top 9 player with a draft pick. Yeah, look, that's something the Penguins have to decide. What's available? Can they replenish what they're going to lose with Brian Rust or what they're going to potentially lose with Brian Rust? And if they can't replenish that via the trade, then you keep him. And then you just lose him to free agency and you say, wow, thanks. And he says, wow, thanks. I'm about to get paid. And then you do a tribute video when he comes back next season. Yeah, we're just building up this channel. I see some of you are new to this. This is Pittsburgh Hockey Now. In fact, here, let's see, because some of you are just YouTube folks. And we are part of the National Hockey Now network. It did start here in Pittsburgh. We are 15 beat writers strong over 15 NHL cities, from Boston to Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, Florida, and the Capitals and the Islanders, and out west, San Jose and Vegas, and so forth. We do these live chats just for fun, just to hang out with you guys. We're rebuilding a channel. We used to be part of a channel here in Pittsburgh, but we kind of strayed away so that we could focus on hockey videos and hockey chat. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so, and do so right now. Subscribe over here. Subscribe, and if you can, give me a little bit of a like on the video so that YouTube thinks I'm doing a good job, even though I'm really not. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, what's it say when his own team doesn't even want Evander Kane? Look, you can burn bridges. I can be a master of that as well. Sometimes you burn a bridge and it seems perfectly logical, and sometimes you're just in a bad personal situation. You're in a bad spot, and you're not yourself, or the worst parts of you come out. Not every human being is happy, joy. Cheers. So it's become a thing in this day and age of Twitter, and we all judge each other, so on such a mass level that there's no second chances. There's sort of no redemption, and that's really something we've lost. A bit of grace or humility to let idiots have a second chance. Of course, I've burned some bridges and really enjoyed it too, so I'm not gonna. But Evander Kane probably was not in the right burning bridges with his San Jose teammates. That was one where he's going to need some grace and redemption on that one. Let's see here. Name the players? What are you talking about, Medina? Name what players? Simone is a possession and distributor genius. Yeah, Rory, he really is. There's two things I want to have you watch in Dominic Simone's game. Watch how he works on the wall. The guy is what, 5'9", 5'10"? Yeah, 5'10" is maybe pushing it a little bit. Watch how he's able to pick the puck out of traffic. subset to that. Here comes like 1A and 1B. Watch how he moves the puck or distributes the puck after he picks it out of traffic, or what he does with it, and whether he skates with it, takes it to a better spot, or finds a player in an open spot. And B, watch how many times he'll pull that puck out and bolt right to the net or right into the slot, the scoring zone, or put the puck on someone's stick in a scoring zone. So you just can't replace that on a fourth line for $750,000. It sounds like a lot of money, but obviously for that cheap, you can't get a better fourth line offensive contributor than Dominic Simone. You just can't. That's championship material, and I'm not kidding. That's championship caliber. The way he plays the fourth line there. Yeah, let's see here. Moxie says, I think Kane would work here, provided salary retained, as well as coming over with a pick. Yeah, look, the Penguins are one of probably, I think, 2 or 3 teams that would make sense for Evander Kane. The other being the Washington Capitals, although I don't know if the Capitals' leadership is quite as stable and as leadership-y, if that's a word, as the Penguins. I also have kind of circled who else? Who else would you circle for Evander Kane? A team with heavy and good leadership. Would Anze Kopitar and Dustin Brown be as? I don't think Kane would roll there so well. I'm rolling through the league here, just kind of up and down. Who has the leadership that could put Kane in his place when necessary? Carolina? They seem to have a group leadership thing there in Carolina where you step in, you just buy into the fun and the atmosphere, and everybody kind of checks their baggage at the door, a.k.a. Anthony D'Angelo. I always want to call him Anthony Angelo. I get, just roll with me. Rust for Josh Anderson. Yeah, I mean, look, you're in the right ballpark of the kind of player that would need to replace or replenish Brian Rust, Frank. Appreciate you there. Sean says, I really doubt anyone in the Pens org could turn Kane's bad ways around. So in his opinion, it would be an awful idea to bring him in. Has merit. I mean, that's a hell of a gamble because that's a cancer with 3 more years on the contract. Now, here's what you do, or here's what would happen. Let's just say any team acquires Evander Kane. You have your honeymoon phase, and everyone's like, wow, this is great. And then after 6 months, things begin to fall apart. And after a year, you're like, my God, what did we get ourselves into? At that point, you do send him down to the AHL. Maybe you ask him to report. Maybe you don't. He throws his temper tantrum. You dig your heels in the sand, and the relationship is irretrievably broken, blah, blah, blah. At that point, then, you tell him not to report, and you essentially push him to the KHL. That's just how I think the Evander Kane situation will go down is one of 2 ways. The Sharks will trade him, and it will work with a new team for at least 2 of the next 3 years, at which point, in the 3rd year, if things aren't working, then you really haven't lost anything, and you've gained a couple years. You call it a win. Or 2, things implode, and you just send him away. And you do what you can to get him to leave the NHL, and so his cap hit comes off your books. Whether you assign him to the ECHL as a real sort of slap in the face, depends on how bad I guess he upsets you if it does implode. Let's see here. Boy, my hair's looking all sorts of over the place, isn't it? I had to get it cut twice in 2 weeks. What is it with... Listen, I love going to a barber. I see a barber pole. I need a haircut. I'm going there. And I've gone to this place, and I won't tell you in what little neighborhood, because you'll know exactly who I went to. But the old Italian barbers, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting a good haircut. you got a 50-50 shot of getting a great haircut, or, oh, no, we need to make it full. We need to make your hair full. And look, listen, cut it, trim it tight. This is 2021, not 1985. Let's go. Chop it down. So I had to go over to Great Clips. I just told the girl, keep cutting until I tell you to stop. That was kind of how it went as I looked at myself here. Okay, let's see here. They were saying similar things about Phil Kessel, too, so I think we could turn him around. Yeah, I guess they said similar things about Kessel, although Kessel's teammates liked him to a point, I guess, right? Do the Pens extend Danton Heinen? Maybe? I view Danton Heinen also as one of Ron Hextall. I mean, we're circling back now again, talking about what does Ron Hextall do next. I see Danton Heinen as a little bit of a trade chip. Great asset management. At $1.1 million, I guess he was the guy I was losing the plot when I was like, okay, who plays on the third line with Carter? It would be Carter and Heinen, at least for now. I could see Heinen being traded for something usable. Don't forget, the Penguins do need a right-side defenseman. Chad Ruido picked up his second assist on Tuesday night. 2 points in 28 games. Or Ruido hasn't played all 28, but Ruido is a wonderful seventh defenseman. I don't think you want to last the entire season with him as the number 6. There's not enough production there. There's not enough going on there to merit a guaranteed roster spot every night. You're happy to have him in the lineup when there's injuries or a slump somewhere, but to roll all 82 games with him as your number 6, I think the Penguins can upgrade that. And maybe a team looks at Danton Heinen with 10 or 12 goals at a $1.1 million salary and says, okay, give me some of that. Because Heinen really is kind of a poor man's top 6 sniper. Or in the Penguins' case, because their top 6 will be so packed, a third-line sniper. Maybe you find you can get more value for him than he is for you, because the Penguins will have additional players they can plug in around the lineup. In that absence, would you extend him? Yeah, I mean, look, if the price is right. Here's my analysis, my take on Heinen right now. If he's not scoring, you don't notice him so much. And will he continue to score at a 25-goal pace? That's a huge question, because he hasn't done that in the NHL to this point. He had a pretty good rookie year in Boston, surrounded by a lot of really good players, which he is again here in Pittsburgh. But would I break the bank for him or pay him north of $3 million or even north of 2.5? I would not. So I think a player like that, if he scores 20 or 25, is going to want 3.5. But I don't see the value there. Dan, what happened to the power play last night, especially the 5-on-3? Yeah, it was kind of brutal, wasn't it? Crosby bricked a couple passes, or zigged when he should have zagged, or other players zigged when they should have zagged, and not good. All right, so go ahead and toss in more questions here. I think I've adequately caught up on all of the questions and comments. So let me circle back to maybe driving the monologue here, specifically about Ron Hextall. Of course, we talked about Evander Kane and Danton Heinen and Brian Rust. But I do think Ron Hextall has to improve the Penguins' blue line just a little bit. I think Mike Matheson has more to give. That's not saying he's been bad. That's saying he has more to give. And I think a better right-side partner, or a more active right-side partner, could elevate Marcus Pettersson's game in much the same way we saw Ceci and Matheson last season, kind of both elevate each other. I think Pettersson is ripe for a player on that right side. Or, kind of a neck breaker near the net, a bulldozer in front of the Penguins' net to make sure Tristan Jarry's eyes and legs are clear. Because that's one thing that has been one of Jarry's bugaboos in his career, those long-range shots through traffic. He seems to lose the puck there through the legs, especially when it bangs off the back wall and kicks out in front. We've seen him give up a handful of those goals over the last few years, where he's surprised that the puck is now in front of him and it's behind him right quick. So a leg breaker, or a more dynamic right side defenseman is what I think Hextall's prime his prime acquisition has to be. That does require moving somebody out as well, because those guys are not cheap. I like DeSmith, but do the Pens look to upgrade the bug? Who do you think? Well, I wrote, is it yesterday? Yeah, Anton Khudobin I thought would have been a very good fit for the Penguins. Obviously available for nothing, but really I think it came down to GMs wanting Dallas to trade Khudobin and pick up some of that $3.3 million salary. That's where I think it went. Plus Khudobin's performance this year, what is he, 7-7 with a sub-900 save percentage? That gives people pause because he's signed through next year, whereas Khudobin would not be a rental player. That would be all about, you have to ride or die with him as your backup, unless he retires over the summer. Then I guess there'd be a cap recapture penalty. The CBA has more nooks and crannies than an English muffin. Yeah, Sean mentioned some of comparing Kessel and Kane. Just to be clear, Sean, Evander Kane was in fact cleared of betting on his own games and his own team. He was busted on the fake vaccine card. That's why he was suspended 21 games. He was cleared of the spousal abuse accusation, and he was cleared of betting on his own games. Those are some of the toxic things that his wife has done, or his ex-wife has done recently. And just getting clear of that, you hope everybody can move on, and you hope that there's some peace to be found there. Just don't want you thinking that he actually did bet on his own games, because that was disproven. All right, did I get all the comments? So we've gotten to the Hextall stuff. We've gotten to the Kasperi Kapanen stuff, the Evan Rodrigues stuff. Let's talk a little bit about what the Penguins are doing well here to close it out. How long is it? Oh, I've been 52 minutes already? Good Lord, why don't you people stop me? How many people on? I see why. Everyone make sure you're following and give me a like. We've had pretty good traffic this afternoon. I want likes. I'm a total like whore. So let's talk a bit about, this is what I would, if I could write tactical hockey every day. To hell with some of the fluff stories that I have to do, and to hell with having to write these dry post-gamers. I don't know, did you all catch the Evan Rodrigues story this morning and the song that I interspersed through it? I do this stuff just to amuse myself. I really do. Last night, I got home from the game. I actually left the arena early. I left the arena probably at 11:30. Got home around midnight just because I wanted to grab a bite to eat and everything. So if you want to make $1 million in the next 12 months, open an eatery on the north side that is open past 10 o'clock or even 9 o'clock. Anywhere on the north side. Just be open Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday as well. Heck, just those 3 days if you want. Open Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and be open past 8 or 9 o'clock. Stay open till 12 or 2 a.m., and you will absolutely make a killing. Every night I go past, I'm starving after a Penguins game, and I go past the triple three there, the Taco Bell, Wendy's, and McDonald's on the north side, just up from the stadium on my way home, and every night there's a line out onto Brighton Road. It's wrapped around the building, up the street for both Taco Bell and McDonald's. Wendy's closes. What the hell are you thinking, Wendy's? Close in the morning. Don't open until 4 o'clock if you have to. Stay open till 2 or 3 and just rake in the cash. Anyway, LY says more tactical hockey. LY, I think I love you. So let's talk a bit about the Penguins' forecheck, which was it was loosey-goosey. It was not oppressive last night. I'll have to use my hands for this. Do I have a marker? I have markers somewhere in the office, and I have a whiteboard. Next week, when we do a Penguins live chat, it'll be like December 22nd. The taco truck after games would be phenomenal. U-Town, that's brilliant. The taco truck doesn't like to. From what I heard, they have some issues. Like they like to bail on people at the last second, and the taco truck is so successful that they don't really need us anymore. They don't really need to be, working as hard as they used to, which is just I guess it's not disappointing for them. But it's certainly contrary to how I live my life. Anyway, tactical hockey. The forecheck, I thought the Penguins systemically were loose last night. They were mediocre. They allowed Montreal to skate with the puck far more than they should have. I thought the Penguins could have taken the body more to separate more players from the puck. They could have been harder in all three zones. So having said all of that, I want you to watch what the Penguins do on the forecheck and how good they have been recently, last night excluded, of directional dump-ins or, being able to close off 3/4 of the vertical ice. Well, I guess actually let me describe it a little better. 3/4 of the horizontal ice surface. They leave 1/4, one lane, for a team to pass or skate. And you know what happens when you do that? You get the pounce on the secondary puck receiver. And now you've got a back checker coming, you've got the guy over the top coming, and you've got one forward, or someone coming forward, usually a defenseman, able to step up. The Penguins have been adept at their defensemen playing tight gaps, stepping right at the red line, poking pucks away, that secondary pass, that little touch-up pass. The Penguins have been able to poke away. Or the back checker creates pressure, steering the puck into clouded and foggy ice. When a team has to chip and chase, their puck possession numbers, generally speaking, some teams like Montreal traditionally actually do pretty well at it, and at least better than other teams. But if you force a team to chase the puck all night long and take away the rush attempts and the controlled zone entries, most teams are going to be just chasing the game, not just the puck, but chasing the game. And the Penguins have been able to do that, especially against Washington. The Penguins forced Washington to play 200 feet and do so under duress the entire time, because there was always a back checker in the Capitals' hip pocket, and that allows someone else to step forward. And now you've outnumbered the puck carrier. Now you have numbers around the puck, and when you do that, guess who wins the puck battle? Team with more sticks. Oh, my mic is popping again. I wonder why. Let's try that. Let's see if that is any better. Sean wonders what Sean Rodrigues' next contract will look like. That is going to be interesting. How much loyalty will Rodrigues have to the Penguins for giving him the opportunity? How much will Rodrigues sort of realize playing with Crosby and Malkin is a blessing? And how much will he just get paid? That's an interesting question, isn't it? I don't know. I would say at this pace, Rodrigues scores probably in the low 50s. Let's call it 52 points. And 20 goals, 52 points. That's a hell of a season. What's a guy who does that worth? Well, if he did it for several years running, he's worth about $4.5 million, $5 million. To do it for one season, you're probably worth three and a half. But don't forget, the players see the salary cap going up by $1 million next season. They see them paying off that $1 billion that they owed to the owners because of the lost playoff revenues and the bubble of 2020. Although the owners got one over on the players on that one, because the owners got to burn the final year of the TV contract by playing in the bubble. I think the players got hoodwinked a little bit. That was, props to Bettman, I suppose. The players were told they had to play, and then they were told that they owed the owners money for playing. Oh, boy. Anywho, that $1 billion will soon be paid back unless we stop the season again. And the players, I think, are seeing that in 4 or 5 years, salaries are going to go through the roof because of this ESPN contract and being on ESPN. And I think we're going to see if hockey can catch the NBA. I think LeBron James has sufficiently upset enough of the middle America. Keep politics off my sports, which only applies when you disagree with somebody. When somebody agrees with you, you're like, good for him. He's a good person. When someone disagrees, stop talking politics. I digress. But I think LeBron James has alienated a little bit of the NBA fan base, and I wonder if there is a next generation. I think LeBron might be the last great NBA superstar. Like the last emperor. I think LeBron James might be the last emperor, and hockey has a chance to really catch up. Oh, is it still popping? Darn it. Nothing I can do about that. At least I don't think. I'll have to check. My mic is officially crapola. All right. Well, good thing I have a second one. So I'll change mics next time, and maybe it is them. I'll change the cables too. Okay. So that seems like a good spot to end. Then, if my mic is cutting out or popping. It's been a blast, kids. I just did an hour 2, and our numbers are better now than when we started. So thank you. We'll do these on Penguins off days each week, and so make sure to subscribe so that you know one is coming. And tell other people. Tell your friends. All right, we'll talk to you soon.